So in this video we're going to take a look at skinning our character, and what skinning entails is it is the process of moving our rig around, and in that it'll actually move the mesh that's on it. So that's the point of us building all of this skeleton, is to make this character move and animate. Now I want to express that you should make sure that your that a couple things happen, that your foot controller is lined up. Like I just looked at mine, and my right one that I duplicated is not perfectly lined up because it should have been flipped. So we're going to fix that right now. Also, I want to ensure that you went ahead and you went back and you finished this, because we didn't finish that in the other video. We only did the one half. So go back and make sure to finish that. So one thing you can do is you can actually select the curve point here and select all of your curves. Oops. Let's go ahead and hide Leo again. You can go to curve point. You can kind of move these curves, or you can go to control vertices and move. Let's make sure rig and spline, or we want spline but not the bones, are selectable. And we also don't want our IK handles to be selected. We can go to control vertice and we can move these over. So if we shift that over a little bit, let's shift this guy as well, kind of a little bit. Let's unhide Leo now that he's not selectable. We can do it that way. But you want to make sure though, because this is sort of a buggy thing in Maya, if I go back and I go to object mode, let's click on this, and then the pivot is still at the heel, and for us it does look like that. So let's go ahead and move it and make sure that it's still there. Yep, looks like it. Now let's go ahead and again select our heel. So I'm going to hit Q here. Doesn't look like I've parented the heel yet to the controller, so I'm going to hit P to parent that. Now let's move it and check it to see if everything works. Looks pretty good. Does our foot roll still work? Yep, looks good. Alright, at this point we want to go ahead and skin our model to this rig. So what I like to start off with is the interactive creation tool. So let's select our mesh, and then you select your root. So you can do this easier by hitting Q. The order doesn't really matter in which you select them. Alright? Now let's go ahead and go up to skin, bind skin, and we're going to go to interactive skin bind. Now this is the first step that I do whenever I skin anything. There's a bit of refinement that needs to happen after, but this gives me a pretty good overall skinning, and it has a nice reflection feature. So I'm actually going to go into my options. Now maximum influences, it has to do with the number of vertices, bones that can affect a vert. So for example, we have a vertice right here in his chest. I don't need 4 bones controlling that vert, so I'm really just going to take it down to maybe 2, or let's do 3 bone weighting, and then I'm going to hit apply. Now 3 bones can affect a vert. Now what you'll notice is if you look off to the left here, all of our bones that we named earlier are now in the hierarchy. So if I select left hip, you can see that it actually reflects the skinning. So let's talk a little bit about what this capsule is here. The red means that this area is going to be 100% controlled by that bone. And then it has a fall off range into blue, which means it's lightly controlled. Okay? For my hip, which is this bone here, what I really want is I want it to control the entire thigh to hip area. So I'm just going to go ahead and rotate this, and then I'm going to move it. And you can see that it kind of gives me these different attributes. You can kind of move and scale it, and then it actually gives you handles to kind of move it around. So something like that looks good, and then you can actually bring down the scaling of it. See how it's kind of lessening the effect? And something like this. And I want my knee to sort of be this yellowish area. I'm going to go ahead and select my shin bone, or what I call my knee bone. Alright, I'm going to scale this out a little bit because I want it to encompass pretty much all of this area here, including the back of the pants. Let's scale that out a little bit more. Okay. And again, I'm not terribly concerned with the control, because I'm going to go back and fix how all of the skinning looks a little bit later. So that looks a little bit better. Alright, let's go ahead and select the foot bone. Now this one's a little easier. I really wanted to control the entire foot. I'm going to scale it in a little bit widthwise here, like that. I'm going to actually nudge it over. Like this. There we go. And expand that out. Now again, I don't want it spilling into the other side. See how if I go too big it starts to show me that this bone here is going to control the other foot? That's not what I want. It's just a little bit less, because like I said, we can adjust each vertice's weighting individually. Okay, and I want to pull the top down a little bit, because I really just want the shoe to kind of control the verts of the cuff of the pants. Alright, let's look at the root. The root's not really controlling much, but I do want it to control the hips a little bit better. So let's go ahead and share a little bit of weighting with the root. And again, I'm looking for a red area here. I'm going to actually go ahead and rotate this capsule. And don't be afraid to play with this. Like, I really just want it's like this bone. It looks like that looks okay. It's like this bone here. It's not going to control much. Let's look at this. We want this to encompass this entire area here. Okay. The clavicle bone. It doesn't look terrible. Let's kind of scale that down a little bit, because we really just want the clavicle bone, or this ring here, to control you know, any kind of like nice curvature in the shoulders when he's running. Alright, let's take a look at this arm bone here. It's not controlling much. So let's go ahead and move this entire capsule over so that the arm is lightly affecting the elbow. And we definitely want it to be 100% over that entire arm, so it should be bright red. Okay, forearm looks pretty good. We're going to lessen the effect of the forearm on the upper arm, and we want it to control more of the wrist. And so we kind of want to share weighting on that. Alright, palm bone should control, so we want to rotate this. Place it a little further back. And don't worry if it flips out like that. That's something we can easily fix. Okay, let's kind of move this a little bit back. And notice how when I moved it, it corrected itself. Something like this. And again, we just really want it to affect the palm. There you go. And the wrist. Now for the thumbs, what we're really looking at is we want them to control individual areas. And I'm not terribly concerned about this. We just want to make sure that they have some sort of weighting, because the fingers, we're going to have to really skin. So let's pull this forward a little bit. We're going to have to really skin those in the component editor. Let's maximize this. And let's make sure that we're pulling this up as well. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. And what's nice about using this is it's actually skinning it the exact same way on the other side. So you want to do your best to kind of make sure that this, you take your time, you're patient, get up and get a soda if this is getting too daunting. But that the process is, you want to make sure that this controls the entire, that you're not really rushing this process, because we really do want as nice of a skinning job as we can using this interactive skin bind tool. Alright, let's check this out. Alright, the neck, we don't need it to control all the way up there. We just really need to control that area. Okay. So, now that we have a basic interactive skin bind on there, let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and move the arm. And what I'm looking for is things like this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off X-ray for joints. so we can just kind of see the controller. I'm going to shrink this a little bit. So there are things that you want to tweak when you're doing your model. So I'm going to zero this out now so that it returns to its original positioning. I want the shirt to pull naturally when I'm doing my model, when I'm animating my model. And so it's not exactly doing that, but it still looks really nice. Like, we can actually animate with this as it is, because sometimes when you'll move the arm, a vert from the head will move. So this doesn't look terrible. Even that shirt, like, I'd like it to collapse a little bit better, but that looks pretty good. Let's double check the other side to make sure that the interactive skin bind worked properly, and it did. Let's check this out here. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and move our character's hips around. That looks cool. He jumps. His knees bend. Let's check out his knee going this way. That looks pretty good. Alright, let's check out our foot controller. Now this could be an issue because we don't really have a lot of geometry in the shoe. So it might not actually look that great. So actually the toe raise looks really cool. Looks really good. Let's check out the toe raise on the other side. Looks good too. But notice how I was telling you it's actually pulling the skin from the other side. Let's go ahead and do a ball raise. Yeah, the ball raise is going to need a little bit of work because that bone is controlling the entire foot. You can see on each side here. So let's check out the ball raise on this side. It's probably doing the exact same thing, yeah. And then heel pivot. That looks awesome. But maybe I'd like a little bit more. So in the next video, what we're actually going to do is we're going to tackle the hands, like working on the hands and creating a controller like we did for the foot. So where the hands will open and close and things like that.